Hi guys, hope you're well. So today I have a little bit of a treat for you. I have a new client of mine who started the Two Paths Healing Program, and we are out in Bali and we are doing some one-to-one work together. So I want to introduce you to Vernon, who has suffered with HPPD, visual snow, depersonalization, anxiety, panic attacks, you name it. You guys are familiar with that. And the idea of this is to really kind of take notes as we go through the program, just to kind of give you some feedback. So Vernon can give you some feedback on the program and how things are going. So we're right at the start of it right now. So we've just been speaking. I've taken some notes from Vernon. We've had a look at some of his medical records. And I think it'd be better just to kind of get an introduction from Vernon. So Vernon, do you want to say hello to the community?
So I'm Vernon. I'm originally from South Africa, but I grew up and spent most of my life in Singapore. And actually I'm now Singaporean. I've got a Singapore passport. And when I was 19, I think I must have taken some acid or something like that. And after that, I had full-on HPPD, pretty much every single symptom in severe degrees. I had all the DPDR, the visual snow, visual distortions, but the worst thing was anxiety attacks and the depression that resulted from that as well. I think about 1 week after my trip had seriously bad panic attacks, and that gave me depression because life sucked. And basically what happened was I had a really, really bad trip. I don't know if that had an impact, but it definitely had an impact on my anxiety. Like if I analyzed the thought processes I had during my anxiety attacks, it was definitely influenced by the bad trip.
Did you always suffer from anxiety, like as a kid growing up?
No, like that was my first ever anxiety attack.
Really? Wow.
And I was kind of like dumbfounded. I was like, what? I didn't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I never knew like someone can be in so much fear over like something that seems so trivial and like not tangible. Like there's nothing in my environment that's like actually threatening me, but like the anxiety was so strong and real.
Yeah. So what I usually say is, some people do kind of suffer from anxiety, but there's always a lead up to this. It's not something that happens overnight. And a lot of people firstly have to, I'm sure there's a lot of shame. I get that with a lot of my clients, right? Like you firstly start thinking, man, have I messed myself up? I did this to myself. It was like getting over that whole kind of thing that, this is my fault. But, I just want to say, and I say it to, my viewers regularly, that when you go through something like this, is what I call basically an immune system breakdown. It takes many years for you to build up to that stage. So maybe, it wasn't anxiety like on the surface, but you had a lot of stuff happening inside you. What about your parents? Did they have any health issues growing up? Did your father and your mother have anything?
No, but actually, if you're saying that, I did have to enroll into military service, which was compulsory in Singapore,
right?
Like around that time. Maybe like 4 months prior, I had to enlist, and that caused a lot of turmoil for me. Psychological distress, just going through that because I didn't really care too much about the physical training. It was just like the fact that I'm forced to do something that I don't want to do. That caused a lot of psychological distress.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, if you put your body through that, right, just I often talk about the psychological thoughts of, how they affect various processes in your body. I mean, guys, you want to just try something very quickly, right? So I want to try something with you. Okay. So imagine you're sucking on a lemon right now. Right? Just imagine you're sucking on a lemon, okay? What do you feel right now?
Can feel like
sour taste. Yeah, bitterness, etc.
Yeah.
So if you think, right, that one thought like that can make that biological change in your body, can you imagine you have your whole life ahead of you, and then you're being told you need to enroll in the military. You don't have a clue what's. Imagine the amount of fear that's putting on your body.
And it's like it was 2 years of my life, so I was just like, I was so pissed off. That I had to do it.
Anyone would be. But that's what I'm saying. It's this is unconscious stress. Then you go to sleep with that stress that builds up in your unconscious. So you see what I'm saying? Like this was probably built up over a period of months, right? It didn't just happen because of the substance you took. And as I always say, like, you know, people, you know, I don't like using HPPD because HPPD is just a name some doctor gave it, right, for a set of symptoms, right? It's just nonsense. And once you actually start to name something, you give it value and you give it power. So first thing that we would talk about is just taking that whole label away from it, right? We're not going to use HPPD, any of that nonsense, because you give it power in the body, in the brain. And when you start to give diseases power, they can take over, and you can actually start to manifest some of those symptoms just by what you've read about these diseases online.
Like definitely when I read about it at first, everybody just had no idea what it was. And I think this was like 2019 roughly. And so back then people knew even less about it. So I was just like, oh fuck, I'm doomed. I'm gonna have even more panic and more depression because of, oh, this is incurable.
You know, when you see those stories of people who've like had it for like 10 years, 15 years, man, that's like the worst thing. But you know, as I said, like it builds up over time. You know, what we see is, you know, immune systems don't just break down because of nothing, right? And it can be through a variety of different reasons. It could be through, you know, the health of your parents. You just don't know, right? Like,
you know what? Actually, in the basic military training, I had to get one vaccine.
Right. Okay.
I think it was like a hepatitis.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I was like, I think I was supposed to get the second one. I've weaseled my way out of it.
Yeah. So, you know, I have many clients who come to me and they started to get these symptoms after the COVID shot. So, you know, what I usually say, it's like a bookshelf where you have like a bunch of books on the shelf, and, you know, you just add the last one and then it collapses, right? And that last one could be a psychedelic, it could be a vaccine, it could be a panic attack, it could be a variety of different things, an SSRI, right? Just so, you know, often we just blame the last thing, but trust me, like this would have happened to you eventually anyway, right? Like you know, when I was born, as I said, I had a malfunctioning immune system, right? Like I had a 50-50 chance of living. That should have been my, you know, kind of guideline to how my future is going to go, right? Because, you know, I already had a depleted immune system at that age. And usually people, they have something that kind of triggers them. So, okay, so that happened, and then you started having all these symptoms, and then I'm guessing like you started telling your family and stuff, and
at that stage, you know, I was actually going through like a degree of psychosis. Like I didn't tell anybody, even my family. I was just like, I was having like one of those experiences where I was so out of my body and disconnected that I just thought reality was a hallucination.
Yeah, no, that's part of the whole DPDR and all that.
Yeah,
like
so eventually I started talking about it, but that took some time. Like at first, when I first got it, I was just like trying to numb myself. So
how'd you do that? Like drinking or?
No alcohol, but like as much junk food as I can, as much video games as I can, and then I just realized that's not really working. So you know, I was so petrified of what was going on with me that I became scared of my meditation practice, because I was like, I didn't want to become any more sensitive to what I was experiencing.
And you know, like at your age as well, like, I mean, some people get this later on in life, but like it's scary at any age, but like, especially when you're 19, you've got your whole life ahead of you. And and it's ruined.
Like I had a meditation practice at that stage of my life, but eventually, like I did practice it again, and that was one of the things that definitely helped.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Was there a specific type of meditation that you did to ground? Was it because some meditations can be, you know, up and out, whereas were you focusing more on grounding?
As I would say, like I was not doing intense breath work.
You don't want to do that. No.
I was doing a more like gentle form of rhythmic breathing, and that definitely made me feel more in my body, and just like, I guess, like breath awareness, meditations.
Cool.
And yeah, and basically I just really started being a lot more healthy, and that's what helped a lot.
Yeah, and you started to like, as I said, like it was always there in the background, right? But you found things to kind of help it, and kind of you just lived with it, right? Like for the last how many years has it been?
8
8 years.
Yeah.
8 years. So you basically, and would you say that's significantly impacted your plans for life? I mean,
I would say it's definitely impacted them a lot.
yeah,
Yes,
because you can't plan for the future. We just don't know what's going
I think it basically made me a lot more stagnant, a lot more, because I had this like, oh wow, this like victim mentality that I went through this harsh like experience, and I was just like bitter, you know, really bitter about it. And it's definitely stunted my progress in life, but it's also, I guess, made me also resilient after overcoming a lot of stuff. Like I don't experience any of that anxiety anymore. The last panic attack I had was probably like 5 years ago.
So it seems that Vernon, you've had this for a while, and obviously it kind of goes up and down, you know, based on circumstances in your life that happen with a lot of people. A lot of people just end up living with it. You know, it's not really my advice, because, you know, you do have something that needs addressing in your body. And as you get older and as our immune systems inevitably get weaker, you don't want to put yourself out to other stuff happening, and these things can be progressive within the body. So it's so at that point, as I said, you know, you seemed like you're at the stage of you've suffered enough, you want this gone, and then I introduced you to a few of my ex-clients that you had some calls with, and you saw. What did you think when you thought that it's actually curable? Like what thought?
Well, I've never heard of it being cured. I'm like I've read through the Reddit subreddit many times over, and I've just never really found anything hopeful there.
Yeah, and as I said to people, like the Reddit and the Facebook groups, right? This is always going to be people who are. I'm not saying crabs in a barrel, but like it's for, you know, they do offer some hope in the beginning, because you do have people who are going through the same thing as you. But, you know, as I said, you know, the brain manifests things in weird ways, right? You want to be surrounded by people who've gone through something like this and have healed, right? That's how it works, right? You want to be with people who've got through it. And a lot of people who were in the Reddit and did heal, you know, they've often left. They're not back in these groups talking to each other. So you're only going to get those people who've been in there for like 10 years, 15 years. And they're just so used to talking about it. And as I always say, like when you get used to talking about your symptoms consistently, right, it just becomes a computer pattern. And these people in these forums, they're not even themselves anymore. They're just computer patterns running the same pattern that they've been saying.
Yeah, I try to stay away from it often.
It's
and then I go back like once a year.
It's
to see what's happened.
And then you feel shit.
You feel only worse about it, honestly.
So you know, we try. That's one of the things that I firstly do, is try to get people off those forums, because you know, the brain. You showed you that with the experiment with the lemon. You know, the brain can manifest your thoughts, right? And if you're constantly surrounding yourself with people who are, you know, negative, who I'm not saying bad people, because everybody's suffering, and I don't want to diminish anybody's suffering. I just want people to heal, and the way you do that is you put yourself around people who've been through that journey and come out the other side. And as I said, you know, it's one thing that you have to be extremely patient with. We're just starting now, but you know, you've been patient for 8 years. So you know, it's a long time, right? But the reality is, it's as I said always, right? That we figure out what your triggers are. There's a lot of different systems that need to be addressed in the body, because this is complex, right? It covers a lot of things, from the nervous system to the energetic system to the physical body. You know, we're talking about pathogens, we're talking about a wide variety of different things, and everybody's journey is slightly different. It depends on the age, depends on the sex, it depends on, you know, how long you've had this. All of these things need to be taken into account, you know, before we start. But you know, as I said, like we are having more testimonials, and you guys have seen on the channel. Getting around to posting some more soon as well. The body is an amazing thing, right? Like it really is. I mean, look, I had a cut. Like we actually went out for a dinner, and Vernon took me to a great vegan restaurant, and we got on his bike afterwards. And, it was the first time that I got on somebody else's bike, and he crashed the bike, and so I had a massive gash on my knee. And it was pretty bad, but then after cleaning it, you know, after about 2 weeks, you just see your own body healing, right? Like you see it scabbing over, you see the skin coming back, and you just realize the body is designed to heal, right? We just need to get out of its way. And often the time, what we're doing is we're just in its way all the time, right? And you see recovery stories from everything. People who've had brain tumors, people who've had the most advanced types of cancer, they heal, right? And it is about sometimes just getting out of your way, right? And not complicating it with thoughts of fear consistently, because the body can never ever heal when it's in fear. And one of the things that we're going to have to work on is your core belief that this can't be healed, right? Because that's a core belief that you hold. We need to get you out of that, because that's something you go to sleep with. That's like in your own subconscious. So, you know, as much as you say like, oh, it can be healed, right? Do you actually really believe it? And if you don't believe it, that's going to hinder what we're doing, right? So we need to have that kind of positivity. And you know, I'm not one for toxic positivity. Like we'll be doing the work as well, right? We'll be doing the work on the body. We'll be working against all of these different elements in the body. But mindset is so important. And the first month or so, we'll be working on mindset to just get you out of those perceptive loops, which, you know, build up over the period of like 8 years. It takes a long time to reprogram, but it can be done, absolutely. Because when the body starts to believe a different story, and when we start changing the narrative, it's incredible what can happen. It really is, and that's you know, that's for everything. So so your journey, going back to that, right? Doctors, I'm guessing you saw all sorts of different neurologists and stuff. They were kind of clueless.
Yeah, luckily through the army, they gave me they brought me to an ophthalmologist to do eye tests, and they found absolutely nothing wrong with my eyes. They did even like a EEG, and which is like some brain scan to see the brain waves. I think found nothing wrong. So.
Then did they just put you on psych meds then? Was that
Then the next thing was put me on psych meds, and I tried it out just to see if there was anything fruitful there. And
do you remember which ones?
It was
those or SSRIs or?
I think there was like also some kind of antipsychotic component.
Yeah, that's heavy stuff.
And it just made me numb. And it probably made the anxiety like come down a bit, but I definitely felt better off of it, like not taking it. And I took it for like 2 weeks maximum, and then I just like felt like this is not really that productive.
I mean, probably scare you, but if you go back and find the actual antipsychotic and go and have a look at the side effects from that now, like it will be horrific. Like you'll see like the side effects will be like, oh, this list this long. It's crazy, like some of the meds that they subscribe out there for things like this. And as I said, like you're just making your body more toxic, which is not what you want. And at the end of the day, a lot of people find like immediate relief because it numbs you, right? It lowers inflammation in the body, but the reality is your body then stops having the ability to like function normally. So when you come off these things, it can be harder, and it takes a while for your body to actually kind of rebalance. And that period can be really, really distressing for a lot of people when you come off the pills. I know I had it with benzos, you know, and those things almost killed me, like literally almost killed me in every possible way. Suicidal thoughts, just the reactions I was having off them. It was only when I had 5 to 6 months off them that I realized that, you know, they were the biggest problem, not my symptoms. They were the biggest problem. So, you know, a lot of people kind of conflate those two things. So that's good that you kind of came off that. But so, you know, Vernon, like, as I said, like we're at the start of your journey right now. We've done some initial work, right? How are you feeling about kind of getting started with this and excited?
I am excited. I would love to be able to put all of that behind me. like I know, like for example, like right now, like if I look at the floor, it just looks like a 1 gram mushroom trip permanently, and it's very distracting. It can be like off-putting, and I know I always remember back to how I felt in my body before I had HPPD or all these symptoms. And I know I felt a lot better. There was always these good feelings which I just never got back. Like, and I've lately also felt like I would just love to be like that super relaxed state that I had as a kid.
Yeah, no, it's
And I'm looking forward to see what happens.
yeah, it's a struggle for a lot of people. Like when you're going through something like this, and you know you've got family and friends around, you kind of want to just keep living your life right as normal. But the thing is, like even normal things seem like a massive hassle.
Sometimes they can be.
You know, and the thing is, your family or your girlfriend or whoever, you know, they have got no clue what you're going through. That like even for you to go out for dinner, right, or to go somewhere or to do something that's very normal to them because they don't have any anxiety about it, you're kind of worried about what the situation's going to be when you go to dinner, what the lighting's going to be, what this is going to be, whether you're going to have light sensitivity if you go outside, or whether you're going to crash for a couple of days after, all these kind of things. And this is the thing with chronic illness, and this is why my heart goes out to anybody who suffers with chronic illness, because you're in a catch-22 situation. Because if you start speaking about it, people will be like, oh, you're complaining too much, or you're talking too much about it, or
they're telling you it's an excuse.
It's excuse, right?
Yeah.
And then when you don't speak about it, they expect you just to be normal. And so I feel for people, I really do. It's the worst position to be in when you just, nobody knows what you're going through. When, you know, people around you are just acting fine. And then when you can't show up in any situation, relationship, etc., 100%, you know, they blame you, but they don't know the shit that you've gone through and like the mental gymnastics that you're doing every day to fucking get through the day, right? Like my heart goes out to anybody who suffers in silence with that. Like they're true warriors, right? Like true warriors, and you know, we're out in Bali and we see some people who, who you have a lot of healers out here and like people with suspicious backstories, and you can always tell the people who really have been through shit. And you know, the first time I met Vernon, you know, very, very strong, willed guy. But you know, I totally empathize with all of those years that you've gone through with something like that, because you just don't know where you should be, right? You don't know whether you should be pursuing it more and telling more people about it, or then you kind of just like, no.
Yeah, like I've spoken to people that are like these psychedelic enthusiasts who even told me like, oh, like to cure that you should just do a 5 gram dose.
Yeah, no.
And I was just like,
that's what happened to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I was in LA, and people know my story. If you go back and watch my original story, I had some fake shaman who tried to ply me with all sorts of psychedelics and then tried to extort money out of me. So it's like, there's a lot of fakeness out there, and that's the problem. Is like since COVID as well, I've got another video on this. So many people have jumped into the healing space. Like we see them here in Bali. Like it's insane, like how many people who've just had like a bad relationship, they're now doing big meditation retreats, and you're just like, how is that even possible? So you've got to be very careful about who you trust.
I think I agree 100%.
You know, because a lot of people can take you down the wrong road, because they in theory are trying, maybe their heart's in the right place, but they have got no idea what they're doing. And in the end, what they do is they just confuse the body even more, because the body speaks a certain type of language, right? And if you're you're just throwing stuff and seeing what sticks, right? That sounds like you've done a lot of that in the 8 years. A lot of people do that. They go from YouTube video to this to that without a concerted plan. The body needs a plan, and that's why we're going to put a plan together, so you have something that, you know, we can work on and create that foundation brick by brick, day by day. And that's the thing a lot of people are missing when it comes to chronic illness, is a plan. People just think there is some quick thing out there that they can take, psychedelic or a pill or whatever, and then they realize it's not that simple. As I said, these are very, very deep entrenched, multi-systemic symptoms that you need to address at all different levels, right? And it's a transformation. And as I say to people, like, it's not about getting rid of your symptoms. This is like a life transformation. This is the biggest, hardest thing that you'll do in life. But you come out the other end, you'll be a better person for it. And it's going to take time. It's going to take patience. It's going to take a lot of time addressing all those different factors, but you know, we see the results. If you go to my channel, you see other people who've healed. So even that should give you the confidence to know that if somebody else can do it, then why can't you, right? Like, why can't you? You're no different. That person thought the same thing when they were going through the journey. They thought it couldn't be healed, and now they're living their best life. So yeah. So Vernon, thanks for your time, man. Like,
Thank you.
Good time, brother.
Yeah.
All right, and we will be doing more of these as we go through the program. And hopefully I don't get into any more bike accidents. I've already had 3 car accidents in my life, so I don't get any more fucking bike accidents. So yeah, thanks guys, and stay tuned for the next one.